Few things that can get talked about, so we're gonna talk about them. If you wanted to become your own handy person that wasn't afraid of doing a couple of drills here and there, here's an entire set that you can go get, use, buy, and begin your stages in trying to do, mount, squeeze in, and do any type of handy skills that require any service. So we have here today approximately $240 that was spent on products. These products that we need: handy tools, tool bag, drill, flashlight, pivoting flashlight, so that you can look into those awkward places when you need to. Drill bits, so there will be points where you are drilling into metal, iron, wood, and also plastic. Preferably, and also brick. Granted, it didn't state that. Brick is also another one that's used. So when you start getting onto those sides, you require bigger, longer, and stronger drill bits to use, just so you can make it through those harder installs that you'll be doing. But each and every one of these sets have their own different price. I'm pretty sure how we listed them gives you a good edge on how to start. So as I'm looking at it, the screwdriver set, this is 20 bucks. The drill bit set, which is this, the 45 piece, or 17 piece, excuse me. This right here, 17 bucks. So you're looking at 20 and 17 bucks. Then if you were getting also the drill is 53 bucks. Excuse me, 47 bucks. And the flashlight is 53. So when you look at all of these tools that you have together in one synonymous number, the bag, the drill bits, the drill, the screws, the extra heads, impact driver set, all of these come out to less than $300 total. This is your beginning investment. So you can start off understanding and knowing and using with approximately $250. And you'll become your own guy that can do any and every service that's known or that you have capable of. So I say and do this so you guys don't be scared of it. This is just another set that I want to show you guys, but I'm telling you, it's profit to be made out here on these handy services. So, and that's one of them right there. So I just want to share that knowledge. PKG Lux is here. PKG Lux is out, baby. as soon as you punch it in, now go the opposite direction. You have 60 seconds to punch in that code because someone just came into the room and we don't know who they are. So they won't know why this is going on, but they'll hear it. So as they hear it, they're wondering. By the time that 60 seconds concludes, you know they're silent. Okay. Yep, 1645. Got you. It's so that you can check over the body roll. Which is pretty unique. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, this is just
The refrigerator? Oh.
I mean, like when it does. Anyway.
That is so awesome. I love that. What's happening, my good people? It is your boy PKG Deluxe back with another vid on how I did. You already know what it is, and if you aren't already, check me out on all social media platforms. PKG Deluxe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all other platforms as well, including Twitch. So here, if you are here to learn today, you're here to learn about how to make more money as a tech entrepreneur, learning certain skills that can gain you those access to make extra money. So I talk about those things because why? People have problems with them all the time, and at one point in time, I was the recipient of those people who would tell me about those problems, and I ended up having to be a problem solver, a solution bringer. So I've gained experience on trying to learn or giving knowledge out to not only customers, but other people as well that can help fix a problem that they may allude to in the later long run. So today I've realized, or in a long time I've realized, that these skills that I've learned while working in a retail facility was able to give me the resources I need to make other financial decisions outside of the company that I work for. And those I consider to be tech entrepreneurship skills. Why? Because a lot of people carry a lot of value in what you know and what they don't know. And I've realized that working in the retail store that they don't know a lot of things that you're telling them. So you're telling them the best of your knowledge and the best of whatever the sales take, or whatever the item that they're purchasing, or whatever they're looking into, the knowledge that you bring to, you're giving the best of that. So as you learn these skills, you learn how to help them in the long run, which brings more money into your pocket because of the knowledge that you know. So let's get into it. The first thing is how to make more money as a tech entrepreneur, learning these skills. The skills that we're going to talk about is the Wi-Fi and network connectivity. Now, people may think that this is a simple 1, 2, 3 step, easy to do process for you or someone else, which most times, if not all times, it can be. But why does that seem to tremor a little bit left or right? It's mostly because people have a lack of confidence, and once you start the project, they don't know exactly how it's going to go or form out or pan out to be. And in that process, you need someone that you need to talk to. You need someone that you want to have a good assistance with. Be able to tell you exactly what your problems are so that you can learn to not make the same mistakes twice. So Wi-Fi network connectivity. Why is that an issue? Why is it a big issue? Because a lot of people don't understand Wi-Fi. We know that we want internet in our household, but we don't understand what that means. Okay, we want internet. That means that we're able to search the web on a device regardless of where we are, but we don't understand sometimes how far we're trying to go. For instance, you aren't able to go from inside your house to the front of your front yard and still search the web the same way, because now we're talking about how far you can go, your bandwidth, your connectivity, your radius, if you will. So those things go into a big plethora of problems. Well, if I have something that I wanted to attend to at my mailbox, or if I wanted to watch my front doorbell, or if I had something in the garage that was 20 feet away from the house that I wanted to survey, those things become a problem because Wi-Fi connectivity. So a lot of people that think that internet is one thing, no, it goes deeper than that. We have internet in the area, but now how do we get it to connect to all of our devices and still be able to work and work in this functionality the long suit of the time? So a lot of people have a lot of problems with connectivity, or their devices just can't connect. I've been to, or I've gone to a lot of homes that, hey, my device Wi-Fi doesn't or is not able to connect this far. This is not able to pick up the signals that I needed to. And I'm able to give recommendations. But why is that a common problem? Because I'm having to explain. I'm having to explain why your problem is a problem and what you can do to fix your problem. Excuse me. Excuse me. Damn.
You can edit all that up.
I have to now. So when you go into learning and understanding what your Wi-Fi, your connectivity in your household is going to be, understand the radius. So like now you have to look into what all connectivity devices do I have in my house, and how far is my radius that I can extend to from point A to point B to point C, depending on how far and how tall your house is going to be. I don't determine that. I'm just the person that's able to give you the evidence on saying, hey, this works and hey, this doesn't work. So depending on your square foot and your radius on what you're trying to encompass all at one time will determine the success rate of your internet connectivity within your entire household. So that becomes a problem because, hey, we can't connect to our devices. This doesn't work in that facet. Learning those things and telling people about how they work leads into another problem. So now, if we are able to get them to work, Let's just say we got a Ring doorbell. Let's just say we got a Ring doorbell on the back door. Let's just say we got a multitude of different devices that require constant stream, right? So if at any given point in time something were to go wrong or something were to happen, those streaming devices are exactly how if you were using your iPhone to FaceTime somebody, or if you were using an Android to Google Duos and look at somebody from a different area. The same way it's going to come through means that it's going to be choppy at some point in time because it's using cellular tower data to work, right? So with these, they don't have that access. They can't just jump between, oh, I got Wi-Fi and cellular data. They require one and can't use the other. So when you're using Wi-Fi, just think about it. If your house has Wi-Fi connectivity and was not able to reach your Ring doorbell, and someone walked up to your doorbell and was able to press it, and you got a 30-second delay, that just means that gives them enough time to do something within your household within 30 seconds. Now we're going into, oh, this may be a security violation or security breach, something that you may to attend to because of Wi-Fi connectivity. Those things coincide with each other because they connect and show you whether or not you need or cannot connect to your devices the way that you need to. So just learning those avenues of saying, hey, this may work or that may work or this may not work or this may work in a better asset is profitable income because people do not know how these things function in their functionality long term. They think that internet is going to be one thing and they think that internet can just run everywhere like it's a bubble. But no, you have to break it down, give them the understanding, let them know the differences in between the products that they purchase and the usability between them. So just understanding that knowledge alone is a whole bunch of evidence that helps you make a whole lot of income. Going into other small problems that people have, needing a password. Now granted, most times, if not all, people come out to have additional issues where it comes to, oh, well, I don't know the Wi-Fi password to my devices that I need to. Well, now we have to go into a different route, a different excerpt, and now this is something I have to figure out outside of the problem that I may have wanted to focus on. Because of you not knowing your Wi-Fi password, and it may not be the one that you put on your router or modem, wherever it may be placed, excuse me, any of those devices that you're looking into, if you were to change it at any given point in time, I now have to make a special call to whoever your ISP is. Your ISP is considered internet service provider. Internet service provider depends on the area that you're located. So some people who are located within a region that is able to consist of Spectrum, some people who are able to locate within a region that are able to use HTC or other services, Caporium, etc., etc. Any one of those internet services are able to give you connectivity to the web so that you're able to use all your streaming and other devices to it. Now within that is your ISP, the people or the person or team that I need to contact in order to get your password so that you're able to use your device the way that you properly function for it to work. So if you're not able to use your internet, it would be because of one of the reasons. And usually if you don't know your password, that would be a big reason that we can't use your internet. So I have to already have that as a process statement to use to go forward. It just the understanding of needing a password is a big deal, and you'll understand that later when you start dealing with other people. The other thing when you're dealing with network security or network Wi-Fi connectivity, we're talking about security resets and what can happen during them. So when you have let's say you have a power outage in your home. Let's say something were to happen to where all of your energy were to go out in your home and now it has to run off a generator. Well, now we're talking about whether or not your devices still work and whether they'll still be able to function later long term. More than likely not, because once your power goes out, the rest of this goes out, but you're still able to use your device once it's able to be configured back to the network. So all of these devices require Wi-Fi, and those are the problems that most people have when they come into using them, thinking that they can be used long term. So I give people the honest answer up front so that they don't have an expectation if something were to go wrong long term. So if your power were to go out in your home and you did have one of these Wi-Fi installed devices, understand that with the knowledge that it requires power to use that, which in turn requires internet to use the Wi-Fi, which in turn gives you the Wi-Fi connectivity in your household, which in turn helps your devices that you need to work in your household and work in their proper functionality. So it's a lot of things that you have to do, and they all have to be working simultaneously in order for you to have great connectivity and not have slow connection. So we go on to the last thing, which is drop connection. Wi-Fi connectivity in a lot of households have a lot of problems. And if and when you're explaining or talking to people about why things may have a dead spot here, why things may have a dead spot there, they have to understand that where their modem router is going to be placed in the household has to be the most optimal spot for everything that they're trying to get encompassed within that. You being the person that's going to explain that information have to be also the expert, because they don't understand why my internet is dropping when I go outside. They don't understand why my internet doesn't work when I close the door going to my room. They don't get that. So you have to explain to them and say, hey, if you have your router or your modem in the closet somewhere, it makes it harder for your devices to connect to everything because it's having a lot of blockage. Like, you have to look and see this as, hey, it works through doors. It has to work through brick. It has to work through stone. It has to work through all of these obstacles in order to give you the connectivity in your household that you want, so that all of your devices are able to work in the same fashion. So drop connections are a big problem with people, and usually people think that the simple answer is, hey, let me get an extender, some type of extender that will take my pre-existing Wi-Fi to a longer radius and work within the same facet that it was supposed to. And sometimes that will, depending on what we're going for. Sometimes that won't, depending on how the options play out. So usually you need a tech person there to explain the differences between the two, so that you're not just purchasing something for no reason. So now let's go on to the next one. New Wi-Fi connection with modems, router, extenders, and mesh systems. So a lot of people have problems with when they're setting up their router, or if they were to get a new system, or how to configure it, what goals take place, and how this works. So once you get a router modem in your home, that usually is the device that encompasses your entire home with a bubble. That bubble gives you access to the internet. Now that bubble can only exceed so far, and regardless of how far your circumference is a household, it's also going to have to fight through whatever blockage that it has. So if there are doors there, which more than likely in the house there's going to be doors. If it isn't an open area, you're going to have blockage. So those things play a factor on it, so that you have to be able to set these up in the most optimal area. Some people, to beat the curve, the second option is what they choose to do is get a mesh system. So now we start talking about the differences in between extenders and mesh systems. So extenders, there are rare occasions on where I would suggest that you would get an extender, unless it was just one item, maybe even two, that you were trying to get internet to. Say for instance, you had something in the basement that you wanted to make sure it was checked on at all times. Granted, I would not want to put something or a Wi-Fi extender there. We'll just say it's smart, let's say deep freezer, smart deep freezer. So now I want to check the thermostat on my smart deep freezer so that it gets a little bit colder in my food. It works in the same, or it's cold enough so that it stays down there and I don't have to worry about it. So if your internet is connected to your extender is connected to the device that you're trying to get down there, these are times that I would recommend that you are able, or probably should, get an extender for that, especially if you don't plan on having a multitude of different devices in your basement area. If it's just one thing that you're trying to check on, this may be the remedy for it, so that you're not spending a whole slew of dollars just to do that. But that's talking as the client. For the person that's doing this, you want to make sure you're able to explain to them and also sell to them what they're buying, because you're going to be performing the service regardless of whatever it may be. And you just want to make sure you're knowledgeable enough to tell them the difference between what they may need to purchase and what they may want to purchase. They may want to purchase a mesh system, and they can. It's not to prevent them from doing it, but understand that they may not have enough devices that may need a mesh system. If you only have 3 or 4 different devices, I wouldn't recommend it. But that's determined on what they may want. You understanding the difference between that knowledge and what they may want is what makes you the profit at the end of the day. So you're not the buyer, you're the person that's just setting everything up. And if you want to make your job either easier or harder, or give it the best recommendation or the worst, I wouldn't recommend the worst, but literally the best, most if not times, you will give somebody a mesh system that they can look into to cover their entire household. I give the reasons for extenders because they are solo circumstances that I usually see within someone to use an extender. So now we go into the Wi-Fi signal extenders and what they are. So I speak about, or I talk about, or I have put my hands on a lot of Linksys systems, Netgear systems, Amplify systems, and Google systems. What are these that I'm talking about? These are all integrated mesh systems that require a separate entity outside of the Wi-Fi that is proprietary to the device that you already purchased. All right, cool. I said a lot within that statement. Let me run it back. All right, Wi-Fi signal extender. So let's just say you had a Sonos, right? You got a Sonos soundbar, you got a Sonos subwoofer, you got a Play 5, you got a Play 3, you have all the devices that you wanted to have simultaneously, right? So now we go into why you would need something that works separately from that device. And Sonos has a system to where it doesn't interfere with your internet, but it requires internet so it can work on all the devices proprietary to that. So Sonos has its own amp. Amplifier Sonos installs are within the Wi-Fi signal extension because they work with on that product. The same way with the Ring Chime. The Ring Chime works towards any Ring product that you have in the household, but it still requires Wi-Fi in order for it to function, so that you can hear the chime between the front door and the back door if it were to ever be rung at the same time or simultaneously or at different times of the day. You're able to cover both angles and hear it within the household at the same. So these Wi-Fi signals are able to give you a lot of different values of what you're trying to do, but actually keep you within the realm of keeping your internet on a seamless level, so where it doesn't lap over each other. So understanding your distance, which is your square feet that you're going to measure a home within, and giving the best recommendation usually is a payable product for a profit, because you're able to give what your knowledge is at this point and tell someone that, hey, if you were to purchase this, this should solve your problem. If you were to do this, this should solve your problem. But a lot of these products that they have here are not short-term solutions, and you have to understand the differences in between those. Recommending somebody an extender for someone that has a barn in the backyard probably may not be the best recommendation for them, especially determining it on their square feet that they have in the house and the radius of Wi-Fi that they're trying to encompass. So if you are looking at this and trying to say, hey, this may make more sense to do if you did this, make sure you're giving the justification that goes with it as well, so that they have a good understanding for why you even recommend that. I just look at all options and give the best recommendation dependent and contingent on whatever the options are. So Wi-Fi setup. You can make a lot of money doing this. You can do a lot doing this. It's a lot of value in it and a good understanding within it too. Granted, it may be complicated for other people. You just have to understand it within this long term. They're trying to get something that they need you in order to do and emulate, so that they don't have to do it twice. So you'll probably be out there a multitude of times, depending on how long it takes for them to get it right. But in order for that not to happen, you want to make sure that you're confident and competent in the information that I'm giving you today, so that it doesn't happen. So that when you go out there, you're able to give them all the ingredients at one time. They're able to understand. They know what they got. They understand what they got. And they love and understand the product. So your recommendation and your personality will probably be the best sell tactic that you can ever get to make profit off of. The interpersonal relationship that you develop with a separate client, understanding and knowing these terms and tools will definitely make you profit in the long run. All right. So I give all that to say Wi-Fi internet connectivity is one thing that you can learn as a network or tech entrepreneur to earn and make additional money and skills if you knew these resources. So looking at these things, reading over, understanding the problems, and giving the customer or person the best recommendation will more than likely give you a better process of making income. So we're going to leave it at that. These were our problems that we led into. How to make money as a how to make money as a tech entrepreneur, learning these skills. I'm going to go into the next one talking about computer support and repair. So look at this. We have this, and now we understand the differences in between, and we're going to start working on the next project. All right. PKG Deluxe is here. PKG Deluxe is out, baby. What's happening, my good people? It is your boy PKG Deluxe back with another vid on how I did, and you already know what it is. So I just want to thank you guys for standing through the entirety of watching this video. And the reason why I gave you guys all those tidbits of information to know upon and read upon is not just for your own due diligence, but it also comes with a prize. So there is a way to use all of the skills that I suggested and also make and gain money out of using it for your own gain. There's an application called Hellotech. The Hellotech application allows you to gain access to a lot of these job opportunities that are there. And somewhere in the page or on the page it says become a technician, and then you're able to list your location on where you're listed and work a job in that field. Now, with all of those jobs, you have background checks that you go through. It's probably going to take like 2 or 3 days. And once you get everything started, it's all about whether or not you know how to do these skills or not. So you'll get all of these job calls listed within a mile radius of you, and you're able to go perform the services. But within that, it's all up on how you know how well you've been able to study and do these services. So I say all that because I was just like you. At one point in time, I worked at Best Buy. I was a retail associate, and I was there for probably about 3, 4, maybe even longer than that, because I was also seasonal. And I wish I would have known something like this to begin my journey, about knowing everything I know now to make a better tech entrepreneurship idea. I wish I would have known that little tidbit of knowledge, and someone would have told me about this later, because I would have been able to make profit off the clock and not have to worry about the dollar amount I was getting hourly. So as a retail associate, I made about $11.25. And I said to myself, once the pandemic hit, I didn't know what to do, lost my job. So I wasn't able to work, and then pandemic started. So then we're trying to figure out the means on how to make other income. I wasn't confident in the skills that I possessed at the time. And as I looked at it, I thought more and more and more to myself, what am I going to do with everything that I've learned? What can I do to make additional income? Make it make sense to me. So I thought to myself, hey, is there something out there that I can use to make all the knowledge that I have at least profitable? And there was something that came about. A lot of my family members would ask me countless of times, working at the store industry, Best Buy where I worked, they would assume that I just could mount TVs because I just worked there. You know, you think of Best Buy, you think of TV, and I think it's a bad misconception, but you're allowed to think whatever you want as the customer. That's what they want you to believe. So come in, get a TV. And as my family members would ask me questions more and more about, hey, you work at Best Buy, do you know how to mount a TV? I would constantly say, no, but I wish I did. And somewhere in there, I wish I would have been able to change that statement and say, I know how to do it. You know, how much you want to charge or how much you want to pay me for it. Because those would have been dollars in my pocket that I could have made off the clock. Now, why do I say that? There's a big and large open hole of people that just don't want to mount a TV. And if you decide that you want to get comfortable enough, grow your confidence out, and go out there and do your first one, hey, you might can make some dollars doing it. I've seen people make over at least $100,000 just doing mounting on TV, so it's not surprising to me that this is going to be another avenue that someone can tap into. Now, not all the jobs that we listed up there, not saying that you have to mount TVs, you can do computers, you can do ring installs, you can do the smaller things, but it's just to give you an option to say, hey man, like these little fast or quick jobs that I'm doing here are actually paying out. So when I looked at it long term, this was a way that I was able to start my knowledge and also start my growth and build my own brand in a sense. So now I go out or try to help the people that I have within my clientele and go about it that way. So I work off of word of mouth, and I also try to promote as well. But I realize now that promotion wasn't something I needed to do long term. It was realistically just giving out information that someone gave to me. So had I not stumbled across something like this, it wouldn't have been as pivotal to my life, and I don't think I would have known exactly what would have happened. But I'm glad I was able to take this opportunity, the knowledge that I had from about 5-6 years of Best Buy experience, and apply it to get skills out of it and get paid for it. So now I just want you guys to understand that there's a large pool of people that are scared of these products. And in that pool of people, there's profit to be made. I want you guys to now understand that you can make the profit by doing these small jobs, and it may help you out in the long term. It may just be short term, but essentially it is a skill that most people are afraid of that you should probably dig into, because you want to make sure that you're optimizing all of your utensils on what you may know. But at the same point in time, you want to make sure that you're making the profit that you need to, so that you're not sitting there struggling like I was. So I'm glad I was able to get this opportunity. I just do this to pass this along to someone else so they may need it. I was that retail associate that was so many odd years ago stuck and didn't figure out exactly what I was going to do and didn't know exactly where I was going to go. I only sold you these products that I speak of. So that's where the knowledge came from. I sold everything that I had on the board that I would teach about or I would talk about. And within all of those, I was able to gain confidence, but I never knew on the other side of the coin, how am I going to help this person once they get to their home? Well, now I figured out that solution, and that solution is what gave me more profit. It wasn't trying to become a Geek Squad agent. It was just trying to become my own tech entrepreneur. So if those people needed or had questions about something that I knew, didn't want to go off the reliability or comfortability of the store, I get it. Small independent people can also make a change too. You get to be one of those impactful people. So if you sign up for this app, you end up going to become a technician, give up your location that's there, and go through the step process of doing all of this, you're going to find yourself making a lot of money really, really quick just by everything that I've taught you in regards to this. So I want to make sure and ensure that you guys are going to be taken care of, looking for opportunities, and making game-changing decisions in the long-term process. So this was something that helped me. I want to just pass that message on to you guys because I feel as though it is totally needed and pivotal for you guys of importance so that you definitely don't have to go back to the same things that you did before. All right, so I don't think I'm going to ever look back at going into the retail world. I've started doing something that I actually don't mind and like doing. It comes with a lot of enjoyment and freedoms that I wouldn't change for the world. And I think now that I've engaged with with the application a lot more, my entire persona about how I work has now changed. I no longer see myself as an hourly working wage employee, but I'd rather go out there and try to find something that's going to make me infinite streams of income. So if you're able to build up and if you're able to do all this, I appreciate you guys for listening through. This is where you'll sign up and do everything. I have a couple of jobs today, actually, that I have to do, and one of which hopefully I can show you so you guys can see that. And it's not glary, but yeah, it's a $280 job that you go do for someone for install. And a lot of it is not hard or complicated to do. It's just that they're not able and they're fearful of it, and they rather prefer the technician who's the specialist to do it. So it's about $300 out there. I gotta go get some time today, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys were within that same boat. The last thing before I leave, within this, I've tested out this product to see if it works too. So I've taken friends of mine and told them about the app, traveled with them to help them gain confidence for the job so that they now are able to perform on their own and understand that, hey, like, I thought I couldn't do this, and the minimal utensils I need is just my mind. Everything else along the way comes with confidence. So I was able to get a few of my friends started on the path of doing this, and now they may be transitioning, but they're having that hard fight of saying, man, I don't know if I want to leave my job or if I really want to start doing this more, because I know I can do this and make a lot more money a whole lot faster. And I say, yeah, man, you can make a lot more money a whole lot faster by doing this. So it's just to give them the encouragement. I stepped out on that limb and came out pretty good. I want other people to step out there and come out even better. So it's not to slow you down, but it's to give you the confidence to say that you can do it. So let's get out there and let's do it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you sign up for Hellotech.com, become a technician. All right. PKG Deluxe is here. PKG Deluxe is out, baby. What's happening, my good people? It's your boy PKG Deluxe back with another video. How I did, you already know what it is. And if you are tuning in today, you are coming here to learn why it will be pivotal for you to learn information about how to make money, knowing how to set up a home office or someone for a school or someone for a system, but making money while doing setup for computers. So let's go ahead and get into it for a moment, shall we? All right. So why is this stuff important? Because there are a lot of things when it comes into setting up computers people do not deal with, people cannot spill with, and people have a lot of problems when it comes into using, setting up, and having their own Wi-Fi configured to whatever device that they may have. Now, when we go into people's or do services like this, you have to think about what all am I doing when I go into a home service, or what all is this going to be set up for. So usually you have people who have office buildings or either have school homes that they're trying to build for their children since COVID took off. So now everyone's going through or building a development phase of saying, hey, I'm gonna just make my office a virtual room so that my child can now attend school that way. And that is a way that people have started doing, but they know that they don't know how to set everything up. And watching YouTube doesn't really give them the answer, but you can be the master that's coming out there to do it even if they can't figure it out. So you have a slew of options of things that you must know if you wanted to make income doing and dealing with these things. So what are the main essentials that people look into when they're trying to do a home office or a school? First, a computer, of course, a printer if they have pages or things that they need to set up. A webcam is going to be definitely possibly needed either on the device or either added on to. Depends on if the computer does or does not have it. And those are probably the three most important things people are going to have to need if they were doing or having to have some type of school install or working from home in any type of way. Monitors. Granted, they don't talk or don't understand exactly how those work. You'll have to be the expert to say or know how to put two things on, or a separate monitor to work for two things on the same platform. So it makes it easier for you to notice a little bit of detail, just so everyone around you is confident with what you're doing. But just understanding this and knowing the information that you're going to give out is going to be kind of hard for them because they don't see it the same way I'm teaching you guys to see it. So all this stuff is important. Setting up a printer, setting up the webcams, wireless mouses and keyboards. Those are two things that people have a lot of problem with because realistically, you now have to factor in, hey, do I even have enough slots, or where is the plug for my computer to actually do this? So understanding that all-in-ones, desktops and laptops all don't play on the same way. And if you were using those, you have to understand that you're plugging those in the USB slots in all of them. So if you have too many USBs already plugged into your device, you may not be able to have a wireless keyboard or mouse, but you possibly need that, but it's up to you. So I wouldn't suggest someone adding on another keyboard and mouse to their pre-existing laptop because it would work. But hey, if they want to have a wireless mouse feature, that's just one less USB slot that they'll be able to use. Now, if we're going into desktops and going towards PCs, gaming PCs preferably, those get a little bit more convoluted when it comes to breaking and setting those up. So you'll see a lot of people that will have all of this together, but you'll also see a whole other entity of people that have hardwired setups for gaming devices that are a lot more complicated to do, set up, and also running the same function. So knowing that information, knowing all about this is definitely going to bring you an extra, a lot of extra money if you even know the information on how to explain and or set up the stuff. I won't say that it's a lot of plug and play, but it does become situational depending on what you're trying to find and how you're trying to set everything up. So I go into the second step. The other things on what people are learning and doing this for is remote learning. So the remote learning setup. So now you're dealing with or setting up someone else's webcam service, their printer setups, their desktop, so that they can use it once you leave. So it may be for a business, it may be for school, it may be for podcasting, it may be for whatever they want to use it for. They're just trying to get someone around that can set this up faster than they can and also do it in a swift time frame so that it's working. So this all goes into the same complex things of having to know what you're doing when we're saying setting up a printer, computer. Once you're doing all of these, you're now downloading and adding more value to yourself because this person that probably has this doesn't possibly know how to do it. And it's just extra ways to understand and make money off of understanding how to do it. I know that dual monitors are a real big problem because it's a lot of setting playing that you have to do. So just understanding how to control or set up dual monitors is a real big key tactic that you can use too. So home office setup in school, this is probably one of the easier jobs that you get to do. Some people need it depending on the area that they're from. Mostly it's for the elderly that you'll probably do a lot of setups like this for. And the reason I say that, not saying that it's limited to not anyone else, but those are the people that can't get below the desk and move things around so that you can plug and have all this stuff together. But they may want to have what they need in order to access the family or whoever it may be, or for the godkids or grandkids, depending on the situation. So this is valuable knowledge to know. Understanding and knowing how to do this is definitely going to bring you a lot of value. And just having this little tidbits of knowledge about it are also going to let you know the value that you'll bring to yourself. So keep this in order. If you guys have questions, let me know, and we'll tune back into it. So, all right, PKG Deluxe is here. PKG Deluxe is out, baby. What's happening, my good people? It is your boy PKG Deluxe back with another vid on how I did. You already know what it is, and today I'm here to talk about computer support. Why am I going to talk about computer support? Because this is a big avenue for someone like you who is wanting or inspiring to be a tech entrepreneur. This is the opportunity where you can make a lot of income learning and knowing and doing a lot of these skills, if not all of these skills, because someone out there definitely has a question in regards of what to do with my own computer. So there's day in and day out things that people know, do, and use, but this has probably been the most pivotal time where you've seen someone or most people have to put their hands on a computer because of the COVID virus that has been going around. That has eliminated the idea that people have to go and be in person to person and have to have more access to a computer. Now, there's different limitations where people have their experiences where they don't know and do know what they have touched on a computer, but there's also things that people have completely forgotten. No longer know how to use, function, and have no idea on how to use any of the products that are listed, or don't even know what the latest laptops or processors are. RAM, gigabyte storage, things like that. They don't have that understanding of information. So I'm bringing up this topic today because it is a large revenue of opportunity for you and somebody like yourself that looks into computer ideas and repairs, sees this as saying, hey, this is something I could do, and yes, you can make opportunities of profits too. So today I'm here to talk mostly on how to make more money or how to make extra profit as a tech entrepreneur using computer support and help skills. So the first one I talk about today is computer support or computer repair and help, dealing with Apple, Google, Lenovo, Toshiba, Asus, Alienware, Razer. All of these are just the names of brand computers that you have within a computer's department. So all of those computers that you use or that you're comfortable with, Dell, HP, I don't want to say Microsoft, but Microsoft has a Surface Pro, but you also have all of these other type of computers. It's just trying to determine which one fits you and what's the best at what you have. Now, I'm no longer here to sell you a computer as a sales associate, but there is a lot of things that I've learned from selling you that computer that would help me gauge why you would have gotten sold this product and be able to understand what you need it for. So, say for instance, we're talking about just a regular MacBook, right? We're saying, hey, I'm going to school. I want to do all of my printer paper, be able to write, use Excel, PowerPoint, etc., etc. Well, you may need something of a computer sort, but now we're talking about the longevity that goes into that computer. So the longevity is the storage. How much storage do you have? You want this computer to last 4 years or 8 years, or how long do you really care for it to be a computer of your sort? All of these computers that you have listed have different value within them. A lot of people are familiar and used to and love the idea of a Mac or Apple product, so they're comfortable with that. Now, the downside about that is, hey, I have a MacBook, but I don't know how to use a Microsoft application, or I can't use a Microsoft application, and I've been stuck to using whatever Apple has given to me to use as an option. Now, that's not necessarily true, and the only type of operating systems that you do have are Windows, Apple, and Linksys. So just not to confuse anybody, there are about 98 to about 99% of people who prefer and also still continue to use the operating system of Windows. Now, we're all comfortable. We know exactly where we're going. When we want to use this, we stroll right to the left-hand corner of the sign, hit the Windows button, and we also have the shutdown feature right there. We know how this operating system works. We're familiar with it. Now, if we had a MacBook, we don't have those same operating system formalities that we go by. And that's where people get weary. That's where people lose understanding. That's where people lose their confidence. Now, with that, all the other PCs that you'll ever have or any computers that you'll ever deal with will mostly deal with a Microsoft operating system. That system is just the most comfortable for people to use. The ones who deal with the Apple products usually deal with Pages, Numbers, and a few other excerpts that they have on the MacBook that's set to be different from the Windows feature product. But it's not to be fearful of, because it's still the same. I can type or I can print or I can use and make numbers out of this project. So I bring up that to say because Apple is its own brand compared to any other that you would use. Now, if you were to go with something like an Alienware or a Razer, okay, now I'm understanding, engaging, and saying, hey, you may have been using this computer for something totally different, may have been gaming because it's geared more to have a processor for that and a graphics card included into the processing unit of the computer. It requires that to do an immense amount of gameplay that you're trying to do for a time frame where you're even trying to stream. So now we're talking about what this computer is used for. Once again, I'm no longer the associate that's selling you the product. I just understand this stuff. And understanding this is where you understand why this person may have purchased and got this product and what you're going to be doing while you're there. So if this person has an Alienware computer, or he has a Google Pixel book, or they have a Lenovo Flipbook 2-in-1 or Microsoft Surface Pro. Some of those things are still used for everyday to day functions, but used on outside functions. Here's another case in point. The Microsoft Surface Pro was used by the NFL to do a lot of play schemes. So you would see people in the box top looking and giving play schemes down from and looking at the other people's defense to give them a sketch layout so that they knew how they were going to make their next play. These were things that were done while in the same process of getting a Microsoft Surface Pro. So there were different reasons for why that person may have had that Surface Pro versus what you may have that Surface Pro for. Now, I'm not saying that you're not someone that doesn't like NFL or doesn't want to do sketchbooks and doesn't want to learn about making X's and O's in NFL. That's not it. But if you knew how to do all that stuff, you could definitely be helpful and handy and make profit off of knowing that stuff. So it's just to give you an idea and give you the evidence to say that it's profitable out there. Now I'm going to move on to the next one because I've talked already about the operating systems. It's three of them once again. You have the Linksys operating system, you have the Apple operating system, and then you have the Microsoft operating system, which is the most popular of all three. So if anyone that has dealt with anything in the world, more than likely has dealt with the Microsoft operating system and is comfortable with the operating system and will prefer that more than anything else. It's just traditional standard that you go by. So I move on to virus remover and cleanup. These are small time problems that people have when they're dealing with their computers, and they're usually easy fixes that you can do so that someone doesn't have a problem later on in the long term run with their computer. So virus remover and cleanup. If someone has a virus or a Trojan horse on the computer, you have to do a lot of steps in order to get that virus removed. More than likely restarting and wiping the entire computer and logging that person out of all of their personal profiles that they may have had before they had any of those things included. Why would that be pivotal? Because that is going to be needed so that it doesn't happen for a second or third or fourth time. Those issues are usually convoluted, and you have to take a lot of detailed time to think about what this person may have done. Most I've seen with people who may have given any legal information to someone has been debit card information from a scammer online that has gotten their information. This is what has taken place. So now you're here to take care of their information that they may have saved on their profile, or that someone else may have hacked into and tried to make sure that they make their subscription payment of $5,000 for that term. Things like that are what you're looking for and trying to prevent to the person so that it doesn't happen again. It's just virus removal and cleanup and repair so that it doesn't happen for if a hacker or anyone was to come around and give any type of devices issues in the long term run. So those are a few ways to just make a little bit of profit just doing that. I go on to printer setup. Now there are about probably more than what I'm about to name, but I'm just going to name four. You have the HP, you have the Epson, you have the Brother, and you have the Canon printer. Each and every one of these printers have their own formalities on how they work, but each and every one of those printers also have their own instructions on how they're going to be guided and configured to whatever you're trying to do. Now, with those printers, they have differences within them. I've had complications where I've dealt with the Brother printer, and it's given me a long-term problem where I'm trying to figure out how to use it. And I've also had complications with Canon printers. Now, it's not to say that those printers are better or worse than the others. They just are designed a little bit differently than the other printers that I'm about to list, other than the HPs and the Epsons. So when you have a Canon printer, it depends on how much you're using your printer to do certain things for. So if this person is doing a lot of photography on a Canon printer, it will make sense that they will have something, or you're trying to fix a problem that deals more with that versus if they just bought the printer and they're trying to figure out how to configure it to the Wi-Fi. Granted, you'll be still there for the same reasons on whichever it is. You'll just be also trying to give the best advice on whichever you want to keep to use as a printer, or the printer functionalities of what you may want to use. The recommendations going forward may be, hey, I don't think a Canon printer is going to be the best suit for what you're trying to use it for, but later on, if you were or planning on trying to trade out or transition your printer into something else, these are my recommendations for the amount of printing that you do in your home. So that's where it goes into printer setup, because you have differences in between those printers that don't allow you to be able to use this one versus the other one, and that causes conflictions between whether someone could connect them on their service network or whether on their Wi-Fi. Now, it also goes into, hey, does this person only, or is this person only able to use this printer via the app? And the app plays a huge portion in it, because a lot of people aren't able to understand or know to print wirelessly from their phone or any other device, because they don't understand how to work or connect that connectivity between their wireless device or wireless connection in their household, phone, and printer. So those problems exist a lot more for people who don't know how to do those things, and you're trying to help out and make sure that they don't have problems working into. So just to keep ruler record, printer setup is a great deal for someone to do, and it pays all out of profit if you were doing. It's just something I'll definitely engage into if you want to check out. So I'll go on to printer troubleshooting.
And
That is so awesome. I love that. I have to take